everybody, welcome to 4th grade math. Today we're going to be talking about area and perimeter. This is standard grade 4 measurement and data part 3. Let's get started. Some important vocabulary for this lesson includes perimeter, the one-dimensional distance around an object. We're measuring the distance around a shape. Next, area, the two-dimensional space covered by a surface. The space inside of a shape is the area. Unknown factor, the number that is multiplied by another number, but whose value is not yet known. So sometimes when we are measuring with area and perimeter, we may only know the measurements for certain sides of the shape. Figuring out the unknown factor is our job. Let's focus in on perimeter to begin with. Our formula for perimeter is simply adding up the distance around the shape and focusing in on that concept of the unknown factor or the unknown side. We can use a few different rules about shapes to determine those things. Up here we have a rectangle. We know that two sides have equal lengths and the other two sides have equal lengths. So if 8 yards is the measurement for this top part of the rectangle, the bottom part is also going to be 8. Same thing here, 4 and 4 yards. For something like a square, all sides are equal. So we can determine that each side in this particular shape, in this particular square, each side is going to be 3 inches long. Going back to finding the perimeter for our first shape, the rectangle. Using those tools that we just mentioned, those rules that we just mentioned, we can determine that 8 yards here, parallel to that, is also going to be 8 yards. So we're going to add up 8 yards plus 4 yards plus 8 yards plus 4 yards. If we add that all up, 8 and 8, 16, plus 4, 20, plus another 4, 24 yards. We've now determined the perimeter of that rectangle is 24 yards. Moving here, all sides of that square are 3 inches, so we're simply going to add up 3 4 times, or we could simply multiply 3 times 4, and we would get 12 inches. Perimeter, the distance around a shape. Now, for the formula for area, it is simply the length multiplied by the width of a shape. Just to recall, the length is how tall something is, how tall it is. The width is how wide. So here we're going to multiply, the length is 6 centimeters. The width, 2 centimeters. Our formula for area is length times width. 6 times 2 is 12. We're going to use the units of centimeters squared. Area is a two-dimensional thing. It is the amount of space within the shape. So we use this unit of centimeter square, or it could be yards squared, feet squared. Most likely you'll not be able to add that on your online interactive notebook, and that's totally fine. You can just leave it for now as centimeters. I know typically we would have you guys write that in, but for now we understand online it may be a little bit difficult to do that. Moving down here, we have another square. Length times width works here as well. The length is 4, the width is 4. 4 times 4, 16. Our area is 16 centimeters squared. Last page, story problems. There are about 3 or 4 story problems in your interactive notebook. The one thing that I want you to note from my little demonstration here is the wording of 6 yards by 4 yards. You're You're gonna read that a lot, and all that simply means is the dimensions of your room, of the book, whatever is being measured. 6 yards by 4 yards, okay? So that just means one length of your room or your shape is 6 yards long, the other side of it is 4 yards long. You could have a shape that's a square and it could be 6 yards by 6 yards. That would mean the entire shape is, each side is 6 yards around. Here we have just a rectangle. My story problem says, my kitchen is 6 yards by 4 yards. What is the area and the perimeter? I kind of drew my own little demo of my kitchen. That's my biggest advice with story problems, doing area and perimeter, is to simply just draw it out. I'm a visual learner, so I think that it is super helpful to see it, and it makes it really easy to solve. Using the same steps that we did before with perimeter, we're simply going to add up each side, 6 yards and 6 yards, 12, plus 4 yards, plus 4 yards, get a total of 20 yards. My kitchen is 20 yards all the way around. My area, how much space is inside of this kitchen? Okay, if I needed to tile my floor, or I needed to put carpeting on that floor, I would need to determine my length times my width, 6 times 4, or 4 times 6, either one works, 24, and we're gonna label that yards squared. So this is it for area and perimeter. Thank you. Your assignment is interactive notebook for MD3. It's due May 27th. Thanks, guys.